I grew up in a smallish town in the north of England, not so small that everyone knew each other, but not exactly big either. When I was younger, my mom used to let me play in the back streets on my bike. I often played with other kids on the street or my brother, but I also had a big enough imagination that I could easily spend hours playing alone if my parents would let me. I think this particular day no one was really interested in playing out, so I took my bike and went out a little further than I was allowed to. I ended up in not the greatest area. I now know it's an area laden with crime, drug use/selling among other things. I was walking at this point, wheeling my bike next to me. It was getting to that point in the day where the sun is just about to set, not quite dark yet but getting close. I distinctly remember looking around at the empty field strewn with beer cans, cigarette butts, just a complete mess. It was at that moment I thought I'd wandered too far and I was beginning to feel uncomfortable and a little scared in this clearly unsafe place. What didn't help my growing unease was the man who was walking along the field. I'd been in my own little world and hadn't realized he'd gotten quite close until he was in front of me. I'll never forget him looking me up and down with a pleased smile on his face and saying, "Hello, princess." His eyes were glassy and bright and he looked drunk, which freaked me out because I hated being around drunk people. But I also didn't want to be rude by trying to walk away, for some reason. Not really knowing what to do, I awkwardly said hi back, trying to think of a way to get away without offending him. The way he was looking at me was really giving me the creeps. He then asked what a pretty girl was doing out alone, and asked how old I was. I told him I was 8. To this he responded by asking me if I had a boyfriend. I shook my head vehemently, and to this he made some kind of creepy comment, something along the lines of being surprised I didn't. I was getting really uncomfortable at this point, and it was getting darker and darker, so I started making up excuses about having to leave for dinner. His face changed at this and he placed a hand on my bike, stopping me. He asked if I'd go on a walk with him first and I said I really couldn't. He was getting more aggressive and insisted we'd only be 5 minutes. He wanted to show me the park a little way away. He was looming over me, telling me to come with him. I was really frightened and starting to get that hot feeling of panic, and I was just about to drop my bike and run for my life. But then, luckily, some teenagers emerged from behind the tree line and this seemed to spook the man. He mumbled something insulting at me angrily, took his hand off my bike and started walking away. I got on my bike immediately and cycled home as fast as I could, scared he would follow after me and see where I lived. I never saw him again, but I was always cautious after, scared I'd run into him again or that he was waiting for me. It freaked me out for ages because I was a naturally fearful child and I'd stay awake for hours in bed scared to fall asleep in case he came and got me in the night. So yeah, creepy man in the field, let's not meet.